Welcome to Espiritu Coffee Chats, the podcast where we blend wellness, spirituality, and business to help you live with intention and balance.
We're your hosts, Valerie and Arlene, two Latina entrepreneurs here to guide and grow with you. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Espiritu Coffee Chats podcast. I'm your host, Valerie, and we've got our co-host,
Arlene.
And we're super excited to be in 2026 now. If you have been listening to the podcast, thank you so much. We have had a little bit of a delay, some silence because, well, we had a lot of stuff going on. And so we're going to dive into our first episode of 2026 for lessons learned in 2025.
Yup, I feel like a lot of us have some lessons that we've been going through. It was the year of the snake. I feel like nobody knew that until like the middle of the year. Yeah, towards the end. They're like, what the hell is going on? And now the gram is just showing us what happened. It's the shedding. It's the year of the snake. Yeah, so we thought we'd bring you an episode where we could just kind of share our 2025s, like, the things that we've learned and stumbled upon, and then how we overcame, especially with business. I mean, we're always trying to test and play and refine. And so we thought we would get a little more intimate and share some things.
Yeah. So our first prompt is, what did 2025 humble us in, and what did it sharpen in us? So really great ones. Do you want to start off, or shall I dive in?
You can go.
Okay, sweet. So when I first reflect upon this question, I'm like, girl, everything. It humbled me in everything.
Right.
And my immediate thought is because when we had our coffee shop, we didn't close it until June of last year. And in many ways, it was our first coffee shop. We're not from the coffee industry. We're not from hospitality, restaurant industry, none of that. And I feel like that experience in itself humbled us to be like, hey, this is what it actually takes to run a successful coffee shop, a successful restaurant, something in this industry. And unfortunately, we didn't make the cut. And when I look back, I think, well, okay, why didn't we make the cut? And the ways that it sharpened us was like, okay, well, you weren't listening to the market. The market in that specific place that we were in was not a match for what we were providing, what we wanted to do. And when you take something so new and foreign into a place that is used to a very traditional type of coffee, like Starbucks, drip coffee, that's their go-to, and you're coming in with these coffee mocktails and they're priced a certain way, obviously you're going to have this disconnect.
Right.
And we didn't do any kind of that research ahead of time. I think it just really humbled us in reminding us to go back to the data, go back to the numbers, like what is your revenue looking? How quickly are you turning over your inventory to sell? Does the market even want you there? Like, do they like your brand, your product? Are they showing up for you? And all of the questions for us was like, this is not the revenue we want to be at, nor should be at. We're not getting the foot traffic we want to be, and it's just not a match for us. So if we'd listened better, we would have closed it sooner.
Aw. I mean, it's hard though. Like, that's your first brick and mortar. And
for
I
sure.
say first, because I feel like your that avenue will come around again.
Yeah.
And a brick and mortar is different than like having, an online based business, right? Once you get into that brick and mortar, it's such a different level of like learning, and now you got to look at market data and market research and like all the things that you were saying, which I thought you were pretty good at in the first place. But again, we'll just speak to, it was a shared space.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was like a free, like, okay, our name's on it and that's it. Like you kind of had to contend with a silent-ish space too,
Yeah, that's one learning and I tell a lot of people, because I think now shared spaces is the new frontier for retail in general. Just the general consumer wants not so much a one-stop shop as they want this experience of like, I'm going to go to this plant store that also has this really cool coffee shop that also serves food. And on Saturdays they have a DJ. So,
nice.
you know, it's like, it's this whole thing, and we just didn't do that. And when I have friends who are like, it's cheaper to go in that route, I'm like, yes, okay, lay out the pros and the cons. Like, pros, it's cheaper. You have an easier way of getting into a brick and mortar. Cons, who are your partners? I mean, there are... And I know of a story, and if you're familiar with the bars here in Hillcrest, you probably know. But like when you bring in outside partners, whether you're starting the shared space together or you're going into a shared space, you really have to know who you're partnering with, because your visions could be totally different. Your missions could be totally different. Maybe there's no overlap in the audience you're serving, or just maybe your partner's not who you thought it was going to be, and they turn out to kick you out of the business or whatever. Like, it happens all the time. But I think when you come in informed and you listen to the data, to the patterns in what's already there, then you take out the emotional side of it. And I think we were a little bit too emotional and not as much pragmatic as we should have been. So... Yeah,
that's hard. That's a hard line.
Yeah, I'm like, I got too emotional. I spent so much money.
I know, I'm a Pisces, emotional. Oh my God, no, but yeah, strategy, I think. So sounds like what you're saying is your lesson.
Yes.
Was, strategy behind it all.
Yeah, I think just like there are blessings in going in naive and just trying it. Just, you know, fucking around, trying it. Like, we were like, sure, why not? Let's try it. And for all intents and purposes, I mean, we did so many great things for sure. And I don't want to detract from that. But as like a business, I'm like, oh, well, it didn't work. So it wasn't successful. Done.
Right.
Like it's very black and white in business. So yeah, I think just going back to that and being like, okay, let me ask the hard hitting questions. Just like with Devonay, our friend who is the prenup queen.
Shout out to Devonay. We have an episode with her. Go check it out.
So like she went into a relationship with all these hard hitting questions up front. So then you know who your partner is, you know who you're getting to a relationship with. Like business should be the same.
Yeah. I guess that leads into my lesson. Very similar. Now, I didn't have a brick and mortar, but I learned a really hard lesson last year, probably about, around the same time. Valerie and I were both shedding the same time. June was when it really came to a head for me. And it was partnering with somebody who was a friend, but also we've done business in the past together. And I felt like we were good because, we've done it before, but we didn't never do it to the caliber that we were doing it for this collaboration. And I felt like because we had worked with each other on smaller things that this should be fine. You know, we communicate pretty decent. We have the same values in a sense. So I thought, and I was like, okay, this seems fine. But going into it before, this was a person that I collaborated with on a retreat. So it was just like I wish I would have had a lot of conversations before things got bad. And I noticed things before they actually started, but it was a little mix of like, well, you're my friend, so I want to give you understanding and grace because this person really was going through a rough time. And so, but also there was like my business side that was like, but I shouldn't, like, my business shouldn't be have to picking up for your business. And so once it got too like murky and muddy and it wasn't even gray anymore, then the retreat was already going to happen. So I'm like, well, I'll just suck it up a little bit. But even at the actual retreat was when all the things started to unravel. And it's like I already knew all this was going to happen. Yeah. So not listening to my intuition, I guess, is my bigger lesson with all of this. Like knowing that the boundaries are really important, even if you have a friend that, you know, you're going to partner with in business, but also understanding like, yeah, like you can still be friends, but the friend also has to respect and turn this into something. If you're both going to be collaborating, it's business to business, you know, it's not friend to friend. So, I mean, I made my mistakes and, you know, I'm not like saying it was all that person's fault. But I do think in hindsight, I did give a lot more than I should have, and I should have expressed that sooner. But I just didn't want to overwhelm somebody when they're like going through fucking dark night of the shadow moments in their life, right? Like this retreat maybe isn't that big of a deal for them. But when it came to the whole, to how this person showed up at the retreat, it impacted the energy of the retreat so bad that I just basically had to get my mop out and clean it up. And it's, you know, it was from May to June of just trying to clean up everything that happened. And it also affected my own business reputation, my reputation with some of the ladies who attended that I try to build that relationship with. And so in the long run, it all worked itself out. But in hindsight, I'm like, yes, for sure, I'm going to be getting contracts. And I don't care who you are. You're going to sign it, put your name on it, and that will help establish who does what and what does who. And then if something doesn't align, then, you know, maybe you talk about, okay, well, maybe we're not splitting 50-50, or, you know, there's something, right? So without that, there's like, it's kind of wishy-washy.
Yeah.
And so it also really blurred the boundaries between friend and business. And I think if we had a contract, and her too, right? I think that things would have been a lot cleaner and a lot more of like, who's going to hold responsibility for when things did crack. And so I was really heartbroken, honestly. And I took that and I was like, I'm never, ever, ever putting my business or my personal reputation in the hands of somebody else without having clearer boundaries. And then that caused me to look at, well, why do I have messed up boundaries? And then, of course, I went into dumpster dive to my inner child. And why? And also I'll throw some astrology out. I'm a Cancer moon. So, you know, moon sign in Cancer is all emotional and, you know, it's all wavy and stuff. So that also helped me understand, like, okay, these are just one of the things. It's not a, how can I say? It's not like a
consistent?
No, it's not like a detriment. It's more of like, you know, you just got to hold the reins in, and it's okay to speak up about your feelings and your emotions. And so I think I had to peel the onion on, well, why do I have a hard time speaking up for myself with emotions and feelings? And that's because when I was younger, I was told, you're too much, you feel too much, you cry.
Right.
So I was like, so now as an adult representing my business, I'm seeing the little one who's like, but
yeah, that's, I feel like talking about the inner child is so spot on. I think because especially in business, like I feel like I have had the same thing happen to me in 2025 in a different form though, but where it gets to like, it shows kind of all of, I don't want to say weaknesses, but it shows all of the triggers, I guess, like the practices, behaviors, speech, whatever that like you used to have, and then it brings it out and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know I had this in me, and why am I doing this, and why am I acting this way and saying these things? And business is just one way of like really getting to that inner child.
Right. Yeah. And it will show you, your business will show you where you need to work on yourself.
Yes.
And, you know, and those are all things that in hindsight, I look back and it did suck, but at the end of the day, like it made me realize like, okay, I really see the holes in my business, and thank God, like some of these things that could have been devastating didn't happen. But it was just like almost a preview of like, you know, my higher angels being like, hey girl, you need to get your shit together, like get your contracts, you need to, you know, be a little more firm, really make sure like who is your ideal person that you want to collaborate with, because just like there's a client avatar we talk about in business, you know, who's your dream client, you also have your dream collaborators, you know, and if you don't have, and I guess this would be my next little lesson, is like if you don't have the same shared values, then at the end of the day, those values are going to start popping up. And they're going to want to, the scales are going to want to be weighed. And so it's better if you have somebody who has the same core values as you, because then, you know, you can support the scales when they start to be tilted one way or the other. And you're not going to one extreme where somebody's totally opposite and you're over here on one end and they're on the other. So I guess that would be another thing, like really like building your dream collaborators.
Yeah, I definitely like that because we have not done our dream collaborators. We kind of did in the beginning, but I feel like our business has changed so much. It's literally changing all the time. Sorry, guys. We don't know what we're doing.
It's okay.
I mean, like, and I feel like that's many startups. Like, you just start things. They start really messy. You have an idea of what you want to do and the products and services you want to provide, and it sometimes will shift as you grow. And we're, like 6 years in this now, and I finally feel I'm like, okay, I have some clarity and some insight on like what we want to actually be doing, what we want to be known for. And looking back, I'm like, do we want any collaborators? And right now, my answer is no, because I'm like, we're still in the very beginning of, I guess, a rebirth in a way. That now I'm like, okay, I need to figure out who I am myself, as a business owner, who we are as Surge Coffee before we're bringing in other people into the mix.
Yeah, I like that. Like, who's that identity of like the business bite? Like, yeah, I've definitely peeled the onion on that.
Nice. I love it. Yeah. Any other lessons you want to drop in? Humbled us or sharpened us?
You know, I think that one of the other lessons that I learned was put yourself out there. You know, I opened up my human design certification.
Yay!
And we're officially done. And Valerie was in my cohort.
It was great.
And the first cohort that I had. And I literally, after I like went through my rebirthing in June, I was like, it's actually almost the perfect time, because it's like you're just trying to find the meaning and like, you know, like what do I really want to do? Like, is this even worth it? Still keeping Luna Soul Wellness? Like, you know, where you start questioning, like, do I just fucking close the doors? Maybe I'm just not good at this. And then, or maybe I need to pivot, right? So I was having those questions with myself. And then from June, once I finished the next retreat, because I did have another retreat in the summer that was by myself, which was also amazing. And I hosted, you know, for the most part, all alone. I mean, I had guest facilitators and stuff, but it was just like kind of like what I needed. It was like, you know, Stella got her groove back. And so, because it really helped me be like, actually, no, like that was just a one-off incident. And it also proved to me that sometimes you don't always need to have collaborators. And I think I've been scared with retreats to just like fully step into hosting them. And the ones that I've hosted just by myself have been my most favorite, most expansive ones. And then the other ones, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
So that was also just like, I think the gods and the goddesses just being like, no, you can step into, you know, you just being the spotlight, and it's okay and it's fine. But I think that also leads me to starting the human design certification, because I literally willy-nilly'd it. Like I knew I've always wanted to do. I had the idea. I had the vision. I've been having it for like 3 years. But it also was just like, but if I sit here and overanalyze it anymore, it's not going to happen. And so literally like starting it from scratch, like just knowing this is what I want to do, and then sitting down with lovely chat GPT and having those like, okay, like what is this? What does this even look like? Yeah. And then finally, you know, it started in October, but I didn't really officially start like putting 2 feet to the ground with it, where I started marketing it and all that stuff in like August, maybe late August. So it wasn't even like, you know, people always tell you like you need to launch like 6 months ahead of time and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, girl, you could do it in 8 weeks. You can do it 8 weeks. Just don't think about it. And I literally was like, you know what? And I think this was the energy and the bigger lesson that I learned is that I was like, you know what? Even if nobody shows up, I'm still going to show up. Yeah. I'm still going to record these lessons. I'm still going to do it. And I hope that I get at least 8 to 10 girlies that join. And within that time, sure enough, I hit my goal. But it also was just like so important to me that I was like, even if nobody shows up, I'm still doing it. Mm-hmm. And that's when you know that, okay, you're on to something, because you're excited to do it. And now, luckily, you know, I didn't have people actually like join the certification, but I think that was my bigger lesson. Like, analysis paralysis, but also if something lights you up, just fucking do it. If you don't have all the answers, you'll find them along the way, and people will see you, and you know, but don't let fear hold you back from doing something that you know you're super passionate about, or you're knowledgeable about, or you have a gift. Like, don't hold yourself back. Just do it.
Yeah. I definitely agree about that fear thing and like not letting that hold you back, because I think in 2025 I was playing out a lot from fear. And it stunted my growth entirely. We did not grow in 2025. It was definitely a lot of shedding. And now looking back clearer, I'm like, oh, I fucked up there. I should have just done it. Instead of being like getting stuck in the analysis paralysis. I'm like, I'm learning all of these things. I'm taking in all of this knowledge, but then I'm not actually implementing or doing anything with it.
Yeah.
So don't get stuck in the fear.
We should do a Fear Gates episode in human design.
Ooh, we should.
Okay.
This is my favorite Gates. Okay. Next one.
Set it here.
Okay. So jumping into the next question for our episode, what actually made you money in 2025?
Probably my two biggest projects, were the retreats and then the human design program.
Nice.
As far as maybe like passive, or what's that called?
Like
reoccurring revenue.
Oh, yes.
Payment plans and stuff.
Yeah, subscriptions,
things like that. In the long run, that was able to kind of give me that space to build the school, and then also because I was building the school, I couldn't really focus on like doing a lot of readings and all that stuff. So that the reoccurring revenue helped me get through those months.
Nice. So, yeah, ours was definitely the catering aspect over the brick and mortar. Yeah, I just think in this new age, like people want the flexibility of being wherever and having the same experience of a coffee shop for them.
Right.
Brands, companies want these services brought to them. They're not going to take their 100 employees to you unless it's like right next to the building they're in or the hotel.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely think that for sure. It's been a wild ride, but I enjoy it. It's fun. Takes a lot of strength mentally and physically.
Yeah, you got to have some big cojones, man. Well, we probably have time for one more question.
Yes, I forgot what our last question was. Okay, so our last question is, if we were starting over in 2026 with what we know now, what would we do differently?
I mean, I think I already said it. I would have been a little more firm in speaking up. Listening to my intuition is probably like the biggest lesson. I think it's my human design authority, so I have a pretty strong one. And I think it's just allowing her to speak up and honoring that when she does speak, her voice needs to be heard, and it's because it's there to really support and I don't want to use the word protect, but it's just there to help support and guide.
Yeah. Nice. For me, it's slowing down in order to go fast. So listening to like the data, the numbers, the metrics, whatever KPIs you have, and revisiting them regularly, because obviously those are going to be the determining factors to the growth. And the other one that I actually did not talk about in any of the previous questions, but to pour into yourself first, because you can't run a business from an empty cup, right? You can't run a business if you're not sleeping well, if you're skipping every meal of the day until dinner. Like, it's just not sustainable. So I think like pouring into yourself first to make sure you're okay so that you can then pour into your business.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's kind of important.
Not just in business, but I think in life too. Like, we all have family, friends, whatever, but we can't show up for other people if we're not showing up for ourselves. So
yeah. When you fill your cup up, you fill your heart up.
What a great way to end the episode. I love it. So if you guys have any lessons learned, anything that humbled you that you'd like to share, leave a comment for us on Instagram, send us an email, however you want to get in contact with us, and we'll have a little chat.
Yeah, we'll have a little chat. Until next time, friends.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Espiritu Coffee Chats.
We hope you enjoyed our conversation and found a little inspiration to take with you.
If you loved what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform.
And stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and more.
Until next time, keep the spirit alive and the coffee brewing. Cheers! Ow, ow, ow.